Well, I'm excited about this year's team. Certainly, we return a lot of position players from last year. There's some holes that we need to fill. Devin Ortiz and Alex Tappan provided a lot of great at-bats for us last year. So there's a few guys to replace there, but I'm excited about the talent on the offensive side of the ball, and really I'm really looking forward to the development of our pitching staff. I'm excited that we have 21 new players on our team, the most that we've had in my 20 years here. And I look at that as exciting. When you've been in coaching for 30 years, you like new challenges and new opportunities. And this is one of them, with having to have so many new players and trying to figure out how to get them to gel and work together, right? And we've had a great first semester and a great preseason so far. And I'm just excited to see all that come together, because I think there's plenty enough talent.
Will there be kind of a key to success, maybe a weakness or something where you think you need to grow to get to where you've got to be?
Well, I think the key to success for us is going to be the evolution of our pitching staff, right? Is what roles do guys fall into, right? And their learns and how quickly they can learn at this level of baseball to be consistently successful. Last year we had a great offensive club. A lot's been made of that. A lot of those guys are back. But last year. This is a new year. They need to continue to prove themselves and be great. But I'm looking forward to seeing that pitching staff really grow throughout the year. I've had some years in the past in my coaching time where it's been uncertainty on a pitching staff coming in, a lot of youth at times, and by the mid-year, late in the year, they've been really dynamic. So I'm hoping that this is that kind of pitching staff.
Do you have an idea about who will be in line to compete for starting roles, bullpen jobs, or do you figure that out over the next couple of weeks?
Well, regarding the roles of the pitching staff, starters and closers and things like that, it's still open competition with 3 weeks away. We've got about 6 different players that are pitchers that are starting over the weekend. We'll play all 3 days on the weekend, the next 3 weekends, and start to figure that out and who's going to be at the end of the game. When you don't return starters other than Jake Berry, and you don't maybe necessarily return your closer, although Jay Woolfolk did a great job in that kind of role last year. You just leave it up for grabs, and it materializes as you get closer to the start of the season. And candidly, it'll probably change throughout the season, and that's okay.
You mentioned Jay there. Tony Elliott said that y'all were going to talk about a plan, because obviously he's going to be in competition for the quarterback job across the street too.
Yeah.
What have y'all kind of talked about so far as him?
Well, Coach Elliott and I have had great meetings regarding Jay. That first and foremost, we want to make sure that Jay Woolfolk is taken care of. Anytime you're dealing with a guy that's a pitcher and quarterback, the throws on the arm, you need to be thoughtful about those kind of things and whatnot. So there will be a more extensive plan that'll be put in place in the weeks to come. Coach Elliott and I talked about him just starting off right here as a baseball player and get his feet on the ground, and then as we get closer to the start of spring football, we will put a really better plan together, a more in-depth plan on what day-to-day Jay Woolfolk will do. It'll involve a lot of baseball, but certainly we will work it out together for him to compete for that starting quarterback job for next fall.
And looking at Jake Berry, you mentioned him as one of the only starters coming back.
Yeah.
Does he look like a veteran guy now?
Yeah. Well, Jake Berry's had some really great experience in our uniform as a reliever and as a starter. Great summer in the Cape. Really proud of his continued development, and he's pitched good so far. He had a really good fall, and I think he's going to be more consistent than he's been in our uniform, and that's what you need. That's what you look for out of those third-year pitchers after they've had some experience, for them to step forward, and I believe that he will. Certainly he's a front runner for being in the rotation because of what he did last year when he had those opportunities to start for us.
You mentioned a lot of new faces. A lot of them are transfers in that pitching staff.
Mm-hmm.
What have you seen? Especially, I've heard a lot about Connolly and Bryant from the guys. What have you seen from that group?
I like the group of transfer pitchers. They've got experience, but what I've been most impressed so far is they seem to have some pretty good poise and know what they're doing. Somebody like Nick Parker, that's pitched a lot of innings at Coastal Carolina. I mean, he's won a NCAA regional game in Coastal Carolina's uniform. So he knows what it takes. He's got a maturity about him. And Connolly Early's obviously had success, and Edgington and other guys down the line. So, I'm looking for them to provide some poise and some good leadership, not necessarily having done it here, but having done it in college baseball, and that'll be a real asset for us.
This offseason, where have you seen some of those guys who were freshmen last year but had standout years? Griff, Casey, Ethan Anderson. Where have you seen them grow?
They all had great experience for us last year. I kind of liken it to when we inducted Hazley, Smith, and Clement the other night. All three of those guys made huge impacts as first years when they were here. So did those guys, right? Significant. And so, they've become more leaders, even though they've only been here a year. They know what it takes. They had a ton of success last year. So I'm looking for them to be great leaders in our club and certainly great performers as well.
I think Griff's comfortable doing it. Shortstop, a lot of communication there.
Yeah.
Do you think he's pretty comfortable doing it?
I think he is. Griff, the experience Griff O'Farrell had at shortstop last year was really special. To be a true freshman at this level and play every day at shortstop is pretty remarkable, and he did a great job with it. And he's even better now than he was last year. He's even a little bit stronger. His endurance will be better throughout the year. And hey, listen, Griff O'Farrell was a very accomplished high school football player. He's a tough kid, and he knows what it takes. And I think not only will he perform well for us this year, I think he'll be an exceptional leader in our uniform.
You mentioned losing Devin and Alex just in the lineup, but
Yeah.
their leadership that they had as fifth-year guys who've been around, how do you replace that?
Well, I don't know that you do replace the leadership that Tappan and Ortiz brought to our organization, because, they had been in our uniform for a number of years, had been successful players, had big moments, and so you just don't replace that experience. That said, I think leadership takes on a different form. I did an exercise not too long ago with our team and had them talk about leadership and also who on our team they thought were leaders, and there were 18 different players nominated. I actually think that's a real advantage, because in the sport of baseball, if you're going to have success, you need a lot of guys to lead. You need them to lead themselves first and foremost, but then you need, there's different moments throughout the game and throughout the year they're going to have to step up. You have 5 different starting pitchers in a week, right? So even if you have a veteran pitcher that you consider a leader, he's only out there 1 day a week, right? So you need a lot of them, and I feel great because of that second-year class and Geloff and Teal, the play that they've given for us. I feel great about where we're at from that standpoint. I think it's going to be an asset for us.
What's been your relationship like with Tony Elliott? And how do those talks, who initiates those talks, and how do they go down when you're talking about Jay?
Well, I tell you, I'm ever since Tony Elliott came here, I'm incredibly impressed with him. I just really, really appreciate the way he goes about his business, the way he communicates, who he is as a person. I think he's a great leader, and our communication has been outstanding. I love his 2 boys. They're really great baseball players. I'm excited to see them develop in this community. They love to play baseball. Tony was a accomplished baseball player growing up as well, and I know he loves the game as well. So, hey, listen, during football season, you leave a guy alone, right? But we've had some really great conversations with regarding Jay and the university and the athletic department as a whole and everything. And the guy's a winner. I think he's going to do an absolutely great job here, and I'm excited to see him really develop this football program.
I think y'all just sent one of y'all's guys over there with Addie Burrow.
Yeah.
He's walking on over there.
Yeah. So, hey, listen, I grew up playing football. Coach Mack was a football player. I love football, so anything that we can do to work together to support each other, we need to do to help both of our programs to be successful.
Transfer position players, how's Reese Snyder and O'Donnell fit in?
Yeah, great question. O'Donnell's doing great. He had a tremendous fall. He's a very, very talented center fielder defensively and at the plate. He's going to hit somewhere towards the top of our lineup, I believe, and he earned that through what he did this fall. Reese Snyder is a very good player. He's really versatile. He's catching for us, playing first. He can play the outfield. He's got a little bit of power. So, excited about all those guys. Tommy Courtney's another center fielder that can run and can be another option for us and does some good things. So I like, coupled with the returning position players, what we have from that standpoint. I think we got a lot of depth and different options to play different combinations, and those guys are going to be a real asset to us.
going on 20th season now. Just talking to Mac, he said, I don't think we could have imagined being here 20 years later, but just looking back, what is it like kind of entering year 20?
Oh boy, I don't know if you have enough tape for me talking about entering year 20. I mean, I remember standing on this field 20 years ago after being hired and looking out at the field and first week of practice and seeing guys like Reynolds and Zimmerman and Kashansky and seeing none of these stands here, right? And the not only the evolution of this program, the evolution of this facility that we're in is amazing. It's the same opportunity for the guys that it was 25 years ago, but it's different too, And so it's still the same school, it's still the same conference, all those kind of things, but it's a little bit different situation entering for them. And listen, I'm proud as heck of that. I'm proud of the players that have worn our uniform over those years and how they've represented this place and the championships and the wins and things like that. It's hard. I mean, Mac and I mention it from time to time. 20 years is a long time, but man, has it went fast. I mean, when this is your life and you're digging in and working every day and trying to put a team out on the field the next year that was better than the year before and chasing that all the time, it moves fast and it's awesome. We've been so fortunate to be here for that long a time, and hey, we'll look to see what happens the next 20 years.